Since then, no regime had adopted that aspect of the report. So we must go back to the Waste Panel. There are two. The Waste Panel recommended that all election petitions be concluded before the inauguration of the incoming government. Again, that is very crucial. Once you allow somebody to go to office and you are challenging his election, he has all the powers. They can frustrate your petition. 3. In most African countries today, the presidential election goes to only the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court. In Kenya, upon the conclusion of an election, all election materials are automatically made available to all contestants in case you want to go to election petition. So the question of going to file an application in court ex parte to demand for election materials, file another application to serve the respondents, and waste a lot of time. In Kenya, the materials are automatically made available. You don't need an application. You can serve electronically, even by WhatsApp. So the question of going to look for the respondent, we cannot enter the villa or the governor's lodge, we're not going to apply to serve by substituted means, a paid advertisement and the rest. No. Africa has moved beyond that. In Kenya, the election petitions shall be filed 7 days after the election. Because basically electronic. So what are you looking for? You are looking for witnesses, you have to travel around, you risk their lives and the rest. No. Basically documentary. Supreme Court is the only forum that decides presidential election petitions in the majority of African states. In Kenya and in most countries, it's 14 days. They will hear it and determine within 14 days. So we must find out what is going on around us so that we are not in our oasis of ignorance and believing that, we are the leading African nation. In many areas, we are at the back. And so, if we are going to have good elections, we must sensitize our people. And brother, please, let's see. It's not about election alone. If the people are not interested in your voting, they won't go, they won't vote. And that's why people don't vote here. When we were young, when you were after the Second Republic. And this is important. You could predict what the UPN and PRP will vote for and what MPP and MPN and GMPP will vote for. But today, all the people in the National Assembly vote the same way. There is no ideological difference. So it's not enough to say people should go and vote. What are they voting for? The masses will ask you. As far as this ramshackle constitution is concerned, all political parties shall adopt Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Access to health, access to education, welfare and security of the people. The government shall take care of even the disabled people, children, pensioners, and so on and so forth. They are all in Chapter 2. But the ruling class has put a clause in the Constitution that if you breach these provisions, you cannot go to court. So those are things that should be part of your campaign. It's not enough to say, go and vote. What am I voting for? If I'm going to vote to renew the oppression, my oppression, so why do I need to go and vote? But in those days,
are you owed thousands in car finance compensation?
It is that I want my children to go to school. A party that will give them free education, I will fight and vote for it. A party that will provide full employment. A party that will not tax the poor. And a party that will not allow illegal arrest and detention of citizens. So we must begin to make demand, accompanying the campaign for voting with demands for the dividends of democracy. It's not enough to vote. What am I voting for? If my conditions will not improve, in my own part of the world they say, oh God, if If you will not improve my condition, leave me as you met me. So if we are going to campaign and you want people to vote, you must also encourage them to ask questions from those who are in power. Now, on your paper, it's not enough to go and submit your proposal to the National Assembly. They will just dump it. And I'm going to suggest to each of us here, and all our friends and family members, we must now begin to interrogate our legislators. You have the right, because they are going to come around to say, come and vote for us. You have the right to write to them. They have money. They have money for constituency meetings, which are never held. Because again, we don't demand for those meetings. So we can, part of your campaign, identify. If I ask you now, most of us don't know our senators. We don't know our House of Rep members. We don't even know our legislators in the state houses of assembly. So we must begin to ask. Because the National Assembly that will amend the Electoral Act. So we have the right to call them to meetings. Can we discuss our proposals with you? And I can assure you, because of what they themselves have gone through, they are also willing to improve on the current frustrations with our elections. The court has said, the Supreme Court has said, that transmission of election results, electronic registration and the rest of them, beavers and whatever, are optional for INEC. In other words, it is not compulsory as far as the law is concerned to transmit results. That is where we will now have to say, please amend the Electoral Act to make it compulsory for all of us to monitor and visualize the results that are uploaded and sent to the central server of INEC. If you do that, why does anybody go on? We need to go and file election petitions. Because you already know the result, even before the announcement. And that is why in many countries of the world today, losers congratulate the winners, even before the official announcement.
Yes, sir.
Ghana has just had an election, presidential election in December. 2 former presidents, President Jonathan and President Obasanjo, were there at the inauguration. President Tinubu were there, and about 10 governors. When they came back, there has been no debate of what they saw. And pressmen have not asked them, now you were in Ghana, what happened? There is no election petition against the presidential election. All the losers congratulated the winner in Accra here. 40 minutes flight. So why is our own so difficult to conduct credible elections? So my suggestion, if we sit down and we begin to host seminars all over the country, we may be wasting our time. Because many of the people you are speaking to are deaf. But we have the right. You have your budget, 2025 Appropriation Act. You voted money for constituency meetings and consultation. Please, we are inviting you. Let the senator or the House of Rep member say, I won't come to your meeting. He knows you may be able to campaign against his or her re-election. So we need to move out and engage our representatives in the National Assembly and state houses of assembly. Because the constitutional amendments regarding election will go around the entire country. So we also need to engage members of the state houses of assembly. I also want to suggest there are many bodies that are promoting transparent elections. You must link up with them. One of your suggestions here will not fly. This business of international community, we are deceivers. Who are the members of the international community? Led by the United States of America today. You know what is going on in America? I see a debate that the president may do a third term, may go for a third term. So what is which America? Disobey court orders, the government in power, imposing tariffs all over the world without going through parliament, through Congress. So please, don't deceive yourself about international. We are going to solve our own problems by ourselves so that we can be respected. And just like we are referring to Ghana, if we organize our country, let other countries refer to our example that we want to emulate Nigeria. Not that, because this is the largest concentration of black people in the world. What we are doing is a shame. was in Ghana in 2004, I think. We had an election. Or 2000. After the Agor, Florida manipulation in America. And you know, at that time, they were saying too close to court. And in Ghana, it was like, no, this is not Florida. We are going to conduct good elections in Accra. We're in Ghana. Ghana has had over 30 years of uninterrupted election. Now, still on the international community, I was in Accra, I delivered a paper in Accra yesterday. So that you know where we are. Yes. We're in trouble. The president, Buhari, of Guinea-Bissau, dissolved parliament in December 2023. Single-handedly. He has refused to conduct parliamentary election. His own term of office as president expired in February this year. He's still in office as his sole administrator. Majority of the presidents in West Africa now, are you listening to me? Yes. Are removing term limits in their constitution. That's one of the countries, Togo. Since 1963 that country became independent, only two people, a father and son, have ruled the country. The other man's son had just removed term limit from the constitution. His father ruled from 1963 to 2005. He has been ruling since 2005. So he has now removed term limit. The man in Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, is going for 4th term. The man in the Gambia, Adama Barrow, is going for 3rd term. And so on and so forth. 4 of the countries are under military dictatorship. Forget the propaganda that is going on about Burkina Faso. Mali, the president of Mali, president of Burkina Faso, the president of Niger are planning to stay in office for 9, 8, and 7 years respectively. Those have not been elected. Are you with me? So that's the international dictatorship. Each one wants to contest election. It's how we can rise from here to make contacts with similar bodies and political parties. Political parties are not for elections alone. They're only for elections in Nigeria. No! A political party representing the interests of the people must challenge the government in power on a daily basis. There's darkness in our country. They say we're going to have band A, band B, band this, band that. What has happened today? In the midst of the darkness, the Minister of Power has just announced that we're going to increase electricity tariff very soon. And Nigerians have accepted suffering. So we expect parties to come out, to join issues with the government. This was not your promise. Why are you not removing hardship from the country? Why are you imposing more hardship on our people? There are 20 million Nigerian children on the street, out of school. The second highest in the world. Today, we have the largest number of children that are not immunized. Today, we have the largest number of children that are suffering from kwashiorkor. I can go on and on and on. So in the midst of that, you can't talk of election alone. We must find out there is an agency, Universal Basic Education in Abuja here. Those of you in Abuja must go there. How many states have refused to come here to access the matching grant to put our children in school? Because you can't have a nation of ignorance. Ignorant people, and you're talking of election. Children in China, even in Rwanda, are learning from they're using computer in the primary school. Do you understand me? So, please, let us match the demands for dividends of democracy with our demand for transparent and credible elections. Let us mobilize our people through their representatives to amend the Electoral Act and the Constitution to guarantee this country credible elections. Unite, collaborate with other organizations and the human rights community and political parties that are interested in electoral reform so that we can speak with one voice. We should be powerful and have impact on the members of the ruling class. I thank you very much.
Falana has said it all, and Mr. Randy, he said it. This is the only way forward, because what we are facing in Nigeria other countries has moved on. Other countries have moved on. Some other in terms of election, right? So at least can't we for once have this election, free and fair election, conduct free and fair election in Nigeria? Is it not possible? Yes, it is possible, but because we have bad leadership, people who does not care, who comes to the office through the back door, they won't want the process to be free and fair, because if the process is free, they are not going to come in again, and they are not going to bring in their brothers, sisters through the same back door they came into office. That's the process. And somebody who has the capacity, the competent, what it takes to start amending this law, signing it to law, so that it can be better for me and you, even if you don't have money to come, as far as you are qualified for it. It will reduce the process of conducting the election. All this, signing it to law, it will reduce the process, reduce the money wasting during the election. These are the reasons. Sign this into law. It doesn't take any time, but because of corruption, people knows that when this one is being done, they are not going to come into office. At that time, it has to be based on merit, competence, and character. So that's why they are scared. So people who have the mentality, who have what it takes to change the law overnight. If we have some people in office now, there are some persons we have as a president. Now, this thing shouldn't take time. And they know, because they are for good Nigerians, good governors. Anything that has to do with free and fair election, that's what they represent, that's what they're supporting. It shouldn't take them time to make this work, go to the National Assembly, sign this into law. Yeah, next election. Because those people, they are not that desperate to become the leaders. They are not desperate to go into that office. If you win, fine. Somebody like Patu to me say no, he's not going to contest for any political office again, except through appointment. If somebody appoint him, not just anybody, somebody appointing that his vision align with the same person, that's the only way he can become political, he can hold any political office again. But for him to contest again as the president, as a governor, like he is not going to do that again. Why? Because the process is not free. So if we can do this, sign this into law, then at least we're not beginning to think that, okay, start changing things one after the other. But like this, leave everything like this. After election, everybody are challenging the election in the court. Then the process is going on. In that, you see another, the president who does not win an election, who they are challenging his election in court. You sworn in, and you are expecting the court again to upturn that election in favor of another person. No, because he has everything in his hand to win the election, to manipulate the process. And that's what actually played out in 2023. So we shouldn't allow that to happen, to repeat itself again. Anyways, what do you think? Please, we need to support this movement. This is the way forward. Electoral reform being signed into law. Let us actually for once have free and fair elections in Nigeria. So please share this video. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll be your guy. Run for me now. Subscribe.